Good afternoon. Thank you for allowing me to present. We're just going to get the slides up here. My name is Steve Saviuk. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Valeo Pharma. So we are traded on the Toronto Stock Exchange. VPH is our symbol, as well as the over-the-counter market in the US, the OTCQB with the symbol of VPHIF. Forward-looking statements. So give you a bit of a background on Valeo. We're a Canadian pharmaceutical company, created, co-founded in 2003. We're fully integrated. So fully integrated means we do all the things that what would be a traditional larger pharmaceutical company would handle, all the various things from selling, shipping product, all the marketing, all the regulatory aspects. What we focus on is licensing or acquiring innovative products for the Canadian market. So these are not products that still need to have research and development done or that are still in clinical development phase. These are products that are ready to be sold in the Canadian marketplace, and they have some patent life, typically 8 to 10 years remaining. So we have a long period of time from which to commercialize these. We have a strong commercial pipeline. So the products we currently sell, these are products that we are selling. We have 8 products in total currently, have a peak sales potential of about $150 million. And to give you some context of that, last year, our year end is October, we finished at 13.6 million. We should finish well over 20 million this year. We have over 100 employees. And as I mentioned earlier, we're listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange. Our share price, here's a bit of information. Our share price has gone up slightly recently. It's about 55 cents. Our market cap is, I think, a relatively conservative $44 million. So let's look at at the type of products that we do sell and what areas they're in. And typically, as with most pharma companies, you want to focus on certain therapeutic areas, so certain types of diseases where you develop an expertise and you know the physicians involved with that disease, and you're seen as a thought leader in those particular diseases. And our 2 categories that we focus on, one is very specific, it's respiratory, and it deals with asthma. And we have 2 products there, Enterasys Air and Atectura. The other is a specialty product area where we deal with a number of different diseases, whether it be things like blood thinning, Parkinson's disease, or oncology. Again, most pharma companies, when they look at their products, they try to estimate how large these products can become over their lifetime or at peak. And peak is typically about 5 years from launch, sometimes shorter, a few times longer. When we look at our 2 asthma therapies, we think that these 2 asthma therapies can generate well over $100 million of peak sales. And that's the column on the far right. And I'll get into why that is so. The other products, we look at Radesca, we talked about the blood thinner, smaller market, but it's still a product that we estimate will drive about 30 million of revenue. So again, these top 3 products, Enterasys Air, Atectura, Radesca, these are the key products for Valeo, and they were all launched within the last 12 months. So relatively new launches. Underneath, you can see other products that we currently sell, which have smaller sales potential. Now, where do we think we're going to be in about 5 years? Well, we finished last year at 13.6 million. We estimate we're going to grow over the course of 5 years to 150 million. That's with our existing products. That does not include any new products we might acquire over the course of that time or any merger and acquisition activity in this area. I mentioned fully integrated. So what that means for the viewers is we do all the things that a large pharma company could do. The 2 things we don't do are manufacturing. Those are typically sent out to a contract manufacturer, or our licensors handle that, and research and development. So this is not a research and development company. This is a company that goes around the world, tries to find the best products, brings them into Canada, registers them, and does all of the other activities to commercialize pharmaceutical products in Canada. So let's talk about our respiratory business unit. This is the unit that we believe has the most potential in the long term. 2 therapies. One is called Enterasys Air. The other is called Atectura. These were both licensed in from Novartis of Switzerland, but we dealt with their Canadian subsidiary. And what's important to know is that we launched these products. They were not already in the market. We're launching these products. They address a large audience. You can see here the number of patients on the left and for Enterasys Air and Atectura. And we think that we can capture market share, which will generate the types of revenues you're seeing, the 90 to 100 million and the 30 to 40 million for Atectura. Let's talk a little bit about asthma. What is asthma? And asthma is a constriction of the bronchial tubes in your lungs, which cause then shortness of breath, chest tightness, coughing, and it's a disease of inflammation. So it's inflammation within the bronchial tubes that cause them to constrict, and therefore you don't breathe as easily. And the symptoms can be quite debilitating. For those who have asthma that are watching, certainly can appreciate that. How many people in Canada have asthma? Well, almost 4 million people have asthma. And there's 1.4 million that are under what is known as chronic treatment. So chronic treatment is treatment that you take every day and that you probably take for the rest of your life. What it does with asthma is unchecked, when it's not properly controlled, it can lead to hospital visits. When you receive an asthma attack, you can't breathe anymore. They transport you to the hospital, and then they allow you to, through ventilation, they allow you to regain your breathing, normal breathing symptoms. So what happens with asthma, and why we think there's a great market opportunity, is about 50% of asthma sufferers believe that their symptoms are not well controlled. So therefore, there's an unmet need. These people are not living the life that they would like to live because of their asthma symptoms. This is, well, in the interest of time, suffice it to say that asthma therapies have advanced over the years from single agents, which is one drug to treat asthma, to dual agents, which are 2 drugs, and then now to triple agents. So we are both in the dual and triple agent segment. That triple agent segment is relatively new and is the most advanced form of asthma treatment available today in inhalation. It's a large market. You can see here $650 to $700 million in Canada alone. Now, again, we have the Canadian rights. So this is the market that our 2 products are attacking. Enterasys Air is the first and most advanced asthma treatment. It has 3 drugs to treat asthma in a way that we're fairly unique. We were the first to launch a triple agent, and it is what I believe today the best asthma therapy for moderate to severe asthmatics in Canada. Atectura is the more traditional double agent. That means it has 2 chemicals rather than 3. But still yielding very good results. And how do we say they yield good results? Well, one of the ways we see it is that we actually, Novartis, when they did their clinical trials to get these drugs approved, they compared these 2 drugs to the best asthma therapies there were in the market. And while these numbers might not mean a lot to you, what they show is that these 2 therapies provided significantly better results than the best therapies that were out in the marketplace. So that's when I say I think we have the best asthma therapies today. This is based on clinical data that showed reduction of asthma attacks, improvement of lung function, reduction of symptoms. And these are some of the comments doctors are saying about our product, where patients are saying, this has really changed my life. I now can exercise, I now can sleep better, things of that nature. And we have literally hundreds of these examples. What we have is, I mentioned we have 100 employees. Well, 60 of our employees are in the field. They actually go in front of physicians. We call on 12,000 doctors per year. That's 50,000 doctor visits per annum. And the drugs are paid for across Canada by both public and private payers. So for those that are not familiar with that, in Canada, drugs are typically paid for not by the patient, but by either the government or by the private insurance companies. And we have that coverage. And what you can see here, it's a very interesting slide. You can see the number of prescribers. That's the number of doctors that are actually prescribing our drug. And on the right-hand side, you're seeing the number of prescriptions. So you can see that our drug is moving very quickly. Here again is another graph showing weekly sales are growing. So we really are on track to move forward and build this. Currently, in terms of new prescriptions given to patients, so that's taking a patient and starting him on a drug, we are now in second place of the 5, let's say, major asthma drugs that are in the market. So we are actually ahead of drugs that do well over 100 million of revenue. So we're being prescribed more often than these drugs for new patients. And that's a good first step. It's a good indication that our drugs are doing very well. Let's talk about our specialty business. Very interesting business, very diversified, but I want to take you to the first one, Radesca. So Radesca arose as a result of a relationship I had with a company in Shenzhen in China. So it's called Shenzhen Techdow. They're the world leader in supplying heparin, which is the main ingredient of this drug, and they actually manufacture the finished dose. So I was in Shenzhen before the epidemic. We were able to conclude a licensing deal, and ultimately a year ago we launched this product in Canada. They do sell in the US, they sell all over Europe where they're a dominant force, and of course obviously in Asia too. So really a great partner to have. And what this drug does is essentially in the hospital, when you are in the hospital for extended stays, it's a blood thinner, if you will, which allows or prevents deep vein thrombosis, which is essentially blood clots in your veins, which ultimately can be very fatal if they migrate to your lungs. And we're just showing here that as we launch this product here, we have a 54% market share. So we're the leading, what's known as biosimilar market company in that market, and this is a $200 million market. So we think this, with good reason, that we'll be, and again, you can see our sales growth, that we'll be the leading provider of this type of product to Canadian hospitals in the course of the next 24 and 36 months, a shorter time frame than for other drugs. Now let's look at our revenue projections, and here we just announced our second quarter yesterday, which showed again 80% growth over the same quarter, Q2 of last year. Our margins are increasing. We're still losing money. When I say losing money, we've invested significantly in the sales force to launch our asthma therapies, and that loss as a result of great gains in our sales is declining, and we expect by the end of the year that we'll be at break even and into strong profitability next year. But significant growth happening here, and the potential for strong EBITDA or earnings before interest, taxes and depreciation and amortization, about 25 to 30% as we move towards peak sales. So that's a significant cash contributor. Just to again, and we're in summarizing. While we have 8 products, the real 3 you want to focus on are Radesca in the shorter term, where we see that sales growing to 20-30 million. Enterasys Air and Atectura in the slightly longer term, we see sales there going well over 100 million, driving our company to about $150 million in revenue. We have what's known as reimbursement across Canada, which is who pays for the drugs. As you know, in Canada, it's not the patient per se, it's one of 2 agencies, whether it's a province or private insurers. And we have that. We have a great team of 70, we have 100 employees, 70 of which are commercial. So we're out there visiting doctors, hospitals, pharmacies every day, strong coverage, and really just strong products. Great management team, which have been around. Many of these have been around since 2003, so it's a nice long team. Good board of directors. Very interesting. I know this is dedicated to an Asian investment audience, but Dick Mackay was formerly the chairman of Stiefel Laboratories. Was the fellow who opened up Stiefel in Korea. Made many trips to China in the very early days. In the field of dermatology, and he's our chairman and our second largest shareholder. So again, significant year-over-year growth is what we're forecasting. We're a pure commercial play. That does not mean we're not innovative. We have innovative products. These are new products that truly change the therapeutic paradigm, the way doctors treat patients for certain diseases. We've partnered with leaders such as Novartis, Zambon in Italy, Shenzhen Techdow out of China. So we've got strong partnerships, 3 great products, And we do have other products in development that we will be hopefully announcing shortly and ultimately launching. And the intent with these products is not to defocus from what we currently have, but really to strengthen by leveraging our corporate structure and our sales team. With that, the end of our presentation. I think I did that in the allotted time. It was one of our quicker presentations, but I'm available and open, looking forward to questions.
Thank you, Steve, for your time. And there's a few questions here. The first one coming from Grace is that she asked, the company was subjected to last quarter. This is a one-off event, and do you because you have a healthy pipelines for growth, right?
Yeah. Well, what happened when we launched the asthma therapies, I still remember the first meeting with Novartis, they asked us, are you committed to spending to build the team that you need to launch a product like this in Canada? And we said yes. So the intent there is we would probably invest about $20 million to invest that to fund that team. And that's what you're seeing in the quarters, that the loss is essentially that commercial team, which is out there seeing doctors, and there's a lag between when the team goes to see doctors and the revenues are coming in. Our lag is a little shorter than we had anticipated, so we're actually doing better than we thought. And you'll see quarter over quarter that loss will diminish. So these two asthma therapies are truly world class. They are really, really good. These are not Me Too products, highly differentiated.
Great. The next one coming from Aisha. There's two questions. The first one, why did you choose to go public after being private for so long?
We chose to go public essentially to have access to capital. We knew that if we wanted to grow, that we needed to access the public markets. And since being public, we've raised over $50 million, and this has funded our growth. We just did a $25 million debenture offering last December, which was funded in large part by institutions in Canada, one in the US also. So it was really accessing, you need, money or capital is the fuel for our growth. And we wanted to have a platform from which to raise that capital.
And this is maybe what we can explain a bit about the process. So what's the process of identifying the right drugs to license and acquire?
We have a very good business development team. I'm involved with that team that look for drugs all day long. That's their primary focus. So when we look for a drug, we look at, does it have a real benefit to physicians and patients? Is it within where our focus is? So in other words, if you come to me with a drug that might be good for kidney disease, that's not an area we specialize in. So I would not look. So we have to focus on areas that we want to focus. So respiratory, oncology, neurology, or hospital. That's more of the areas we want to focus on. So that's a big part of it. And then ultimately to see, is there a benefit? And then to be able to negotiate a fair deal to bring these licenses are typically 10 years. So it's a long-term partnership that we're looking for.
So further to this last question, your answers. So is this your company strategy expertise is to identify on your own specific interest sector that you're focusing on and identify the good products and grow that in sales? Yeah. You think that you can call that your company's main expertise?
That's one of our expertises. I've been doing this for 20 years. And what I didn't mention to your audience is we started in 2003. In 2015, we actually sold our company to what is today Bausch Health. So we developed a portfolio of products that Bausch wanted. So we've had a lot of experience in identifying, negotiating products and commercializing them. And that's the most important thing, is to really bring this value to physicians and patients in Canada.
Sure. The last question here from Tian, he's asking about your I think a shareholding. So in your management holdings, besides your management, who are some of the investors?
Well, the board of directors, the management, employees own still about 60% of this company, and we have participated in every round of funding that the company has done. So not just being there as a as a founder of the company. But even in the most recent round in December, where we raised 25 million, I believe insiders put up about 1.6 million of that. So it shows that we are committed to the company, we believe in it, and we're aligned with our shareholders. We know that it's not typically our salaries are quite much lower than other companies at the management level because people own equity. And it's about building revenues, earnings, market capitalization. That's how, that's our culture. And it's been that way 20 years. And it will, as long as I'm involved with the company, which I hope is for a long time, that will continue to be our culture.
Great. Thank you, Steve, for your time for addressing all the questions. And
Great.
thank you.
Thank you very much for having me. I really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Indeed.